Salutations and hallucinations, O Steam Defenders. Back again for Vaping with Uncle Jojo. Here tonight we are going to do a comparison between the UD Technologies Goliath and the Goblin. Before we get down to the down and dirty and pull them apart and take a look at the internals, we're going to look at the external differences. First of all, the Goblin comes standard with a 3 milliliter tank. Now, this one here, as you can tell, does have the upgraded tank. The version 2 comes with an upgraded tank, which basically means you're going to get a longer chimney piece. It's been extended with a larger tank. This extends you up to 4.2 milliliters, whereas this one here is still stuck at a lofty 3 milliliters. Even though it doesn't look like it, the tanks do look fairly similar, but when you get right down to it, yeah, more tank on the secondary. Does this affect flavor? To be perfectly honest with you, a little bit. That's part of the reason the Goliath gets a little bit better flavor and has a little bit, is because of the chimney. But if you'll look, you're looking at a hell of a lot wider chimney. Seriously, people, look. When you get down in here, look at the side. You can look at see the size differences in chimneys. You're getting more airflow through there. Plus, it's a shorter distance, less cooling. You can get a little bit better flow out of this. Now, the next thing I want to address is people talking about how hard it is to fill the Goblin versus the Goliath. No. First of all, this little bottom fill screw hasn't been moved since about the first or second day I bought it. It's never been taken out again. Why? What you want to do is hold your tank, put pressure on the glass with your fingers, pull down, pulling the tank down. Now, the reason you're pulling down, this pushes this down into this into that little red washer down there, see? So if you put your fingers, put a little down pressure on that tank to keep that seal there, sealed up against the washer, in other words, fill it full of juice, fill it up to just below that little black washer there, or below the edge of the glass. You just take your top of your tank, screw that puppy back on, pop your drip tip back in it, which, no, neither one of these come with drip tips. Oh well. And you're good to go. Now, if you want to use that bottom fill, that's fine. Another piece of advice, if you do, don't get Gorilla Grip on some of your plastic bottles and go to putting the super squeeze on here. And if I'm telling you what's going to happen, when you put this thing together, if those juice canals are lined up directly below this hole, when that thick juice is pouring in, air is escaping, because as the juice goes in, it pushes air out. It will get caught at the juice canal and pulled in, and you will notice juice is dripping out your drip tip. And that's what's happening. Got that Gorilla Grip. I quit doing that. Simply unscrew this top. Now, you can actually, as a matter of fact, do the same exact thing with the Goblin. I mean, with the Goliath as you do with the Goblin. Simply unscrew that top cap, fill the tank, and there you go. No need to take it off. The only time I take this off, to be honest with you, is to work on my wires and my wick. That's it. Coils and wick. That's it, baby. No need. Now that we've looked at that, let's take them apart and get down to the decks. It gets kind of in. That's where it gets interesting. Oh, yeah. And just that quick, we're back. Now, let's go look at a few basic differences. Here are your tanks. This is the Goliath and the Goblin tank. Holding them side by side. There's a wee bit of difference, not a huge amount of difference, but it is a difference nonetheless. The main difference you're going to see is going to be in chimneys. This is the top part of the two-piece chimney for the Goliath, top of the two-piece chimney for the Goblin. When we hold these two puppies up, yeah. Can we see the big difference there? There is a significant difference in the size, the internal diameter. External isn't really the key factor here. We're looking at internal diameter, and it is a significant increase. Significant increase. Next up, we're going to look at the actual design of the bases themselves. Now, of course, the Goblin is a 4-post design, whereas the Goliath is a 2-post design. The other difference you're going to see immediately is the way the decks are designed. They're very much apparent when held side by side. If you'll look here, Here's the tops of your decks. The coil sits directly above that. Now, if you look, though, let's take a look at that puppy. Can we see just how deep? That is a juice canal. The juice has to come here, vacuum fed out of the bottom of the tank, then it feeds all the way up to here. And then your cotton sits right up here. Now, the problem with that, of course, is your cotton's also bunched up around the hole. So your cotton can interfere with your juice, with this flow. It also allows for a little leakage here and there since the cotton is directly above the hole. Now, with the Goliath, we've changed things a bit. UD went through here and did some changes, people. You see, here's your deck. This is actually your deck. It drops down below the hole, so your cotton is bunched over this deck here, and the size of the end of that screwdriver is actually how big your juice canal is. It flows in here, and there's just a little indentation right here for your juice. So it hits the cotton here. So you definitely, as always, want to keep those coils down low on top of the hole, maybe a millimeter or two above it to shorten your wick length as much as possible without interfering with your airflow. And I'm going to tell you what, with the extra airflow available up here, and with this little bit better design here, you do get better airflow on the top end. They have improved the top end airflow. It's not so much just more, it flows better. This allows you to get better flavor and better wicking. The whole 9 yards of this tank is actually a little bit better than the Goblin. It is improved. Now, as I showed you, as far as ease of filling, they're both the same. Now, as far as which one's easier to build on, again, that's pretty much going to be a personal thing between you, obviously, because to be honest with you, it is in a lot of ways easier to build on a quad because all you got to do is put 2 coils in, cinch them down, they're done. Now you can flip it around and work on the other side without worrying about these. With this one, you're constantly basically having to hold one set while you futz with the other. So it's just pretty much going to be a personal thing. Some people are going to like a dual, some people are going to like a quad. It's pretty much a toss-up to me. I'll take either one. I do like the Goblin's deck, though, for better airflow, and it is a bit easier to build on, just to me. Now, let me take a break here right quick. I'm going to go build some coils for this bad boy, and we're going to put it together, and we're going to fill that tank up and blow some clouds up in here. And here we are again. Now, as we can tell, here's the Goblin. She has been freshly wicked. Not saying this is the only way or even the best way. It is simply the way Uncle Jojo does it. We're looking at dual 2mm 26 gauge Canthal sitting in the petite little 3 ohms, which is about where I like to be. Now, they are centered up, pretty much centered up over the juice holes, which is always a good thing. One thing you can do once you get the coil on here is go in, pull it out a little bit. Just be aware that when you're doing all these wonderful things, if you come out too far, it will short out, and you don't want that. So it's always a good idea to do kind of a fit here to make sure we're not banging up against that. Now, we're going to go ahead and get her wet. This bad boy here is going to be loaded up with some Dr. Creamies. This is their Boston cream pie. And as you can see, for Uncle Jojo. You can see all the bubbles in there. She has been shook up. This, like the Bryce's blend that I reviewed last, is juice made right before shipping. Therefore, you really need to shake it up really good before you use it, since your flavor goes to the top. We're going to soak that cotton down good. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh man, you got to put a lot. No, I don't like a lot of cotton. Less is more. It's kind of like slower is faster when you're going around the race course. That sounds kind of crazy, but the less cotton you have, if you don't have any more than you really need, that's just less. Because the more cotton you got, the more juice you're going to need to fill up said volume of cotton. Now, as you can see, it's just sitting basically on the deck, I'm combing a little bit of it down into the canal. I don't want to clog that canal up, but I definitely want some down in there. Most of this I'm trying to keep up here, but remember, there's your juice hole. See, that's the problem. That's the thing I was talking about with the Goliath that you're not going to run into with the deck being drilled down the way it is. This tends to work out a whole lot better. And like I said, both these tanks, I run mine consistently all day long at a nice fat 40 watts. Doesn't really matter, but I do like to have the word Goblin up. Know what I mean? So that when I'm looking at it, it says Goblin. Just irks me. My OCD kicks in at that point. Not bad enough for me to pull the tank apart. No, no, no. Now here's the fun part. Since we've got this done, I want to kind of look in there. Everything looks good, but it's always a good idea. Go ahead and hit that puppy a few good times. Because see, what will happen is if you get that coil too close here, it's one of the laws of thermodynamics. That coil will expand. Metal expands when heated. And if it gets close enough, it will start interfering with this side piece here. You get a little micro arcing, and it'll do one of two things. One, it'll make your ohm loads go back crap for a little while. The other thing is it'll dead short. Now, if you got your tank full, guess what? You got to empty that tank back out just so you can go back in there and fix your coils. Yes, Uncle JoJo has done that. And no, children, using dirty words will not help matters at all. Now, as I was saying, you want to make sure this is screwed down nice and tight. Take your tank, set it up on top. And that Boston cream pie, you smell that chocolate. Woo! That stuff is so more good. Oh, yeah. And as I said, let me see if I can adjust things here. Move my camera around here. Now, see, as I said, I am pulling down on the glass. Get her filled on up. Grab my top. Guess what? She's full. I'm going to take her off right quick, stick that trim ring on there. My OCD is starting to bother me. Yes, that's obsessive compulsive disorder. Don't snicker, children. We all have it. And that's where mine isn't very bad, but just little things. And of course, for a drip tip, I'm going to go with this. This is a little, basically brass and glass Tesla drip tip. It's not too bad. And we'll set it to the side. Goblin, you're done. Goliath. Now, if we'll look, the Goliath's pretty much done the same. Not a huge amount of difference. What we're going to do here now is the Goliath, on the other hand, is going to get filled up with A.J. Dean's newest little deal called Honey Humps. Kind of like milk and honey. Yeah, I did a review on it, and yes, it's some more good. Oops, I dribbled a little bit too much. But that's all right. It'll be okay. I promise you it will. Now, as mentioned, we have an actual deck to work with. Cotton's going to be down onto the deck itself. Then by running the screwdriver down the cotton, I'm going to comb a little bit of it off down into the actual juice canal itself. Piece looks like it's actually broken off, doesn't it? But it'll be okay. It's all together. Little juice house on the prairie. As that one pretty much has laid itself there. I'm not trying to do a work of art, just trying to make sure that I do have the deck itself covered in cotton, with a little bit of the excess combed down into that juice canal. Then, of course, it's time to fiddle part with this. And sometimes the chimney on this thing, especially until you've gotten it broken in, the threads are a little rough. There we go. Now, of course, as I said, you have to put these two together properly. And they will sit down on there like so. Top of your chimney piece goes on. And I'm about to readjust the camera yet again. Now we go back around. There is the tank. And again, we're going to get our honey humps ready. As I said before, putting down pressure on that to seal. Go ahead and get a good bit of juice in there. And we're done. Just that easy. Drip tip for this one. Gonna be this little fat boy here, which I've actually come to like quite a bit. It's Pyrex and stainless. Nice little drip tip. Picked it up for around $5 on eBay. And you're done. Now, we're going to flip it around here right quick. And we're back. There is one thing I did forget to point out in an earlier video, and I'm going to redo it now. We're talking about filling this thing. If you will look when you get done, there is a small dot. And we'll see if I can get my camera to actually take a looky-loo. But there's a little dot on this thing. Now what this dot indicates is open or full, and you've got some lines here, kind of like a heartbeat on a heart monitor. Now when this dot is all the way around here to the big tall one, you're wide open. Now as you turn it the opposite way, of course, it closes off your slots. I forgot to mention that. I was going to point that out right quick. That's my error. I just don't know how I did that. I just flat forgot to tell you that. But we're done with it now. And like I said, we're not talking huge differences here, but they do add up. Filling, as I showed you, they're the same. The juice canals are really nice. The main advantage of these two tanks, in all honesty, the Goliath has a better build deck. It's easier to build on. The actual drop down deck allows you for better wicking in my book. Since you have more room, you get better airflow with the Goliath. All these things are, and just by themselves, worth the price of admission from going from a Goblin to a Goliath. The next thing, though, that just, I got to admit, I think is just a fantastic idea. Now you got to pull your little trim ring off, set it down. And this, boys and girls, is worth the price of admission. When I need to work on my coils, I can take the whole entire base out, and there's my wicking and coils. I can rewick, rebuild, do whatever I need to do to it, and there's my tank. All I have to do is close off the juice canals, and the tank doesn't leak a drop. I showed you that in the previous video. When this thing is closed, it doesn't leak. There. Now that tank is closed off, and as you can see, yeah, there is liquid in there. See that little bubble? 60-40 juice, not leaking a drop. Turn it back around. Open that puppy back up. If I turn it up now, yeah, she's going to leak everywhere. You simply take your base. When you're done working on it, and screw her back in. Now, like I said, you can fill the tank from this way also, but through the juice channels at the bottom. Now, me personally, I don't bother. I just unscrew the top. You know, I showed you that. To me, that is just much simpler. It turns it into a top feed tank, which to me is the proper way to feed a tank. This whole CAFA nonsense they did with the Goblin, I wasn't real happy with to begin with. How do they vape? Now, as far as that goes, Airflow actually feels pretty much identical. You're not, and there's not, it can't be that much more. You're not looking at a huge astronomical amount of difference. Your internal holes at the bottom are, by the way they're made, fairly close to the same. The problem is you got more up here that equals that out, so you get more efficient airflow. The thing is, with that bigger build deck and the way things flow, you get better flow through the deck, which gives you the, in my book, better flow across the coils, which is the important thing as far as your flavor. Vapor production, to me, about the same, but I'm no judge. To me, I've yet to figure out why I should care about how big my cloud is. I'm sorry, I'm not knocking it, you cloud chasers, but I have no damn idea why in the world I would even care about how big my cloud is. I didn't care when I smoked, don't care when I vape. It's just a pointless discussion, because if you like it, but I don't know. I'm strictly flavor. Three big old deep lung pulls at 40 watt, and that's 40 watts at 3 ohms. Not a problem. Pull up here with the Goliath. To be honest with you, flavor is slightly better. I like the Goliath. Flavor, I'm gonna be honest with you, between the two of them, fairly close to the same. It is going to give you, to me, a little bit better flavor. As again, this is to me, because of the better airflow across the deck is going to, in my book, is the result of this. You're going to get better flavor. Now, the ease of use, as far as you being able to pull the whole bottom deck out and work on my coils and wicking, man, that's worth the price of admission by itself. The improvement to the deck, as far as being able to do your wicking, all these things together, any of those make worth the price of admission, both of them together, and you're just looking at an outstanding product here. Now, I have heard about, it's hit or miss with UD. We're talking PRC, People's Republic of China, mainland China. Let's be honest, people. Quality control ain't exactly something they really care about. Ain't something to do. It ain't nothing to do with them being dumb. It's just they don't give a crap. Let's be honest. They all about that money right now. Give them time. Some companies are actually getting into the pride thing, but a lot of them don't care. What they're doing is they're trying to get a product out that's in huge demand. What you're having a problem with there is it's kind of hard to stop and make sure everything's perfect in every single one when everybody's hollering, we need this product out of here now. Because the owner all the way down to the bottom, the lowest boss on the totem pole, is all getting their panties in a tight knot. Because we got to get X amount of product out to X dealer. We need product. We got to go, go, work. So that by itself is going to throw your quality assurance into fits, trying to make sure that everything's done. Now, on a lot of the sites, they say that they're testing these with e-juice, so they want you to clean them. As Uncle JoJo has already said, you don't know how well they clean them to begin with. Any Addy you buy, dripper, tank, whatever, take it completely apart. I'm talking every single screw and washer apart, put it in something. I use an old ibuprofen bottle that's been cleaned out multiple times. I'm talking scrubbed out, soaked cleaned, and all that to make sure it's clean. All the parts dumped in there and covered to half its depth, and 91% isopropyl rubbing alcohol, and left overnight. Every time I think about it, I swirl it around. What this does is remove germs, anything else that might be on there. That's for your safety. Isopropyl alcohol, you can get a big jug of it for $2 or $3. And you're looking at your health for $2 or $3, and you can clean multiple parts with it. It also has a very high evaporation rate, so it dries quickly. Simple stuff to help you keep safe. Now I'm out of here. This video has gone on a lot longer than most of mine, probably twice as long at this point, but had a lot to cover. Wanted to cover everything. Tried to get all the details. Did a lot of retakes because I missed a detail or two. I tried to get everything. If I missed anything, I am sorry. I wouldn't be surprised if I did. I'm only human. So, but at any rate, I'm out of here now. I think I've done a good job. Give me some feedback. Let me know if there's something else you need, you want to know, blah, 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 at least that I can help with, versus you just hitting that old Google. And until next time, Remember, the Lord loves you, and he will bless you beyond measure. If you don't believe me, get to know him. He will shock and amaze you, and that's just what he does on an average day. And as always, Uncle JoJo loves you. He hopes every single one of y'all out there has an absolutely magnificent time. I hope you get the blessings poured on you to the point where you just don't know what to do with yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down, people? All right? All right, we out of here. Peas and cornbread.